You're listening to the Smith House Adventure Show. Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Brian Smith. Today's guest is Ed Middleton, a registered physiotherapist. Ed graduated from the University of Alberta with a Bachelor of Science in Physical Therapy with distinction. For more than 25 years, he has dedicated himself to guiding and assisting his clients return to work, to sport, or any activity that physical injury was preventing them from enjoying. Thank you, Ed, and welcome.
It's my pleasure, Brian. Good to be here.
What started your passion in sports?
Oh, man. From my very earliest memories when I was 2 or 3 years old, my dad was a very high-end baseball player. To my understanding, at the time I was that little, he was playing the equivalent of what would be AA ball now. It was more in the paid-to-play gunslingers for higher corporate leagues. But the running joke in our family is I was being taught to throw a curveball at 2 years old. So growing up on my dad's side of the family, there were 7 kids in his family, all of them athletic. So a weekend at Grandma and Grandpa's turned into a hockey game, a baseball game, a football game, and everything was full contact. Whether you were 3 years old or 30, you hit everybody. Not full on, but yeah, I got knocked around by my older aunts and uncles a few times. And I just fell in love with competition and sport. And that just led me to at about, I think I was 9 years old when I first started baseball. And I just never looked back from there. I have played just about every sport imaginable, and I have to be careful what I choose to do because if I love it, I become obsessed. And I want to be as good as I possibly can, as quickly as I possibly can be.
Now, has that mentality maybe got you injured because you tried maybe pushing yourself early on a little bit further than you should have, trying to get to that as best as you can right away?
Probably multiple times. I've pushed my body to its absolute limit and played hurt a lot too. So yeah, that attitude has certainly led to injuries and prolonged injuries for me.
Now, was that a little bit of maybe what kind of led your pathway into your future career was sports and dealing with injuries, and it just kind of melded together into what you decided to do for a career?
It is definitely a big part of it. What led me to pursue physiotherapy was 2 things. Number one, in high school, in biology, when we started studying the human systems, I was fascinated with the complexity and yet the simplicity of the human body and its anatomy and physiology. I was just fascinated. So after taking about 4 or 5 years of enjoying life and exploring the world and having a lot of fun, I decided it was time to, I'm not going to use the word grow up because that will never happen, but it was time to get on to my career. And because of my passion for the human body, I knew I wanted that career to be in medicine, in a medical related field or a health related field. My injuries and my athletic background had me in physiotherapy on a regular basis from the time I was 13 right up into when I quit playing competitive football in my mid-20s. And I was very fortunate to get work done by an incredible sports physio named Doug Gilroy in Sherwood Park, Alberta. And I was fascinated how he could go in and a period of a 30-minute treatment make a difference in somebody's life. That quickly, he was changing how people were feeling and how they spent the rest of their week, or sometimes the rest of their life. He was changing people's lives in 30 minutes, and it blew me away. So that's what led me down the physio route, was I was exposed to an incredible role model, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps.
That's awesome. What was the biggest challenge that you faced that taught you the most about yourself? And was a mentor involved in that? And what was the most valuable bit of advice that you ever got from a mentor that even to this day, it's almost been that core bedrock of what made you who you are?
Ooh, that is a question that hits my heart, and it hits hard. It's a very emotional answer is going to be coming here because speaking having life changed in an instant, mine was. In my early teens and slightly before that, I was heading down a path that was going to lead me to jail or death, period. I was finding acceptance in gangs and was gaining foothold and was really liking the camaraderie, the power that went with it. It was a rush. And when I started playing football, I was, as a 13-year-old, I was a starting quarterback and a team captain. I was hanging with a crowd that was leading me down that path. And my head coach caught me. And Tony Anderson, retired CFL player at the time, he was an offensive lineman. He got me away from the guys that I was hanging out with. And he basically had me with one arm by the collar up against the wall. And Tony was 6'6", 6'7", and he had me at his shoulder height pinned against the wall. And he looked at me and says, "You're my fucking captain. You're my leader. You are better than this. I believe in you." That was the moment there that I have called upon many times as I faced struggles. Because up to that point, I didn't think I was good enough for anything or anybody. So when those demons come up, I got that Tony Anderson's loving and very firm voice in my head saying, "You're better than this and you're worth it."
That's awesome. And that is the amazing thing about a mentor taking you under their wing and seeing you stray down that path and literally just giving you the words that maybe you weren't hearing at home or at school or something else, wherever that mentor finds you. And it can change a life. I mean, really, with those words, he changed other people's lives by the patients whose lives you changed. And it is amazing, those simple little acts early on, young in your life, and how it has reverberated so much to impact so many other people's lives. That's amazing. And I hope that for a little while, it seemed like mentors just kind of vanished a little bit. It wasn't really happening as much. And there was a lot of generations of young men and women who found a receptive audience in a group of people who don't actually have your best interests at heart. And that, you're simply probably at your age going to be a mule. And yeah, that is amazing. So from that moment on, when you heard those words, it changed for you.
Yeah, it really did. I changed my friendship circle. I've always been that guy who has never belonged to a group, but can fit into any group. Right? I've never felt like I belonged with the jocks or with the really smart guys or with the party animals. Never felt like I belonged, but I could fit in anywhere. So what those words from Coach taught me was I'm going to make better decisions. So I started to hang out with people that were going to be a positive influence on my world, not a negative influence. People who saw me for who I really was and accepted me for that, even on my bad days. And I have been faced with many opportunities to stray. And that experience always comes back and just kind of keeps me on the straight-ish and narrow, let's call it that. I'll never be fully straight and narrow, but I'm on a good road.
And that's all that anybody could really ask for somebody. As long as you're not hurting other people while you're having a little bit of fun and adventure, every now and then you just got to blow off that steam.
Yeah.
What other parts of your childhood do you attribute to laying down the foundation of who you are as well?
Well, let's go way back. In 1972, so we'll go back even a little further. I was born in Calgary. And in 1972, my dad was transferred to Atlanta, Georgia for work. And I had the opportunity to be enrolled in a Montessori kindergarten. And the Montessori educational program and this whole concept of children have everything they need, provide them the opportunity to learn and grow by themselves at appropriate development stages. It taught me to problem solve. It taught me to think for myself. I learned how to think instead of being just told what to think. Mm-hmm. To this day, I attribute that kindergarten upbringing to the man I am today and to the physio I am today, because I learned a lot of valuable lessons. in kindergarten.
But that is the key thing when you talk to anybody. It's those formative, like 2 to like 7 range of you can really mold somebody's future by ensuring that early on in their development, they have those abilities to be able to have a problem and think it out for themselves. And if, they need a guardian to be able to, help guide them a little bit, or maybe that next challenging step, it's important for kids to try and get as many of those steps on their own as possible. And even learning from the mistakes and letting them fail and then going, okay, I can't do it like that. Oh, if I just move this, now I can get up on the couch, or little things like that. And it's, it is really amazing what a quality education early on that can help make sure a mind grows to its full potential.
Yeah, absolutely.
What daily habits do you think contribute to your success?
Probably the biggest one right now is spending as much time as I can every day playing with my 2-year-old. At 57 years old, having an active, rambunctious, wild child 2-year-old son has just contributed to who I am today and my continued success, because I get to step away from life as an adult and be a kid. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so important that whatever stage of your life you're at, you've got to take time every day to just be a kid and go play. Period. Doesn't matter how old we are. Doesn't matter what our responsibilities. We all need to play. So that's one. And number 2 is I try and maintain a daily meditation routine where I meditate anywhere from, lately it's been 5 to 10 minutes, but I try and get 30 minutes a morning in. But lately my little guy's been waking up before I can get much more than 10 minutes in. So playtime starting early. But those are probably the 2 biggest things right now that are contributing to my success day in and day out.
That's awesome. Yeah. And a young one will have to make you re-energize and to be able to keep up with them. Did you find that you have kind of gotten a little more of an energy as you kind of get to play as a kid again, and you maybe get to tap something that as an adult you weren't able to tap into early on?
Most days, yes. When I tell people the story, of my little Ray and how at 57 having a 2-year-old has been incredible, they're going, yeah, he's going to keep you young. Most days, yeah. But there are some days where I feel like I'm 99 after playing with him. But overall, absolutely, that energy has been amazing for me.
That's awesome. Other than with your kid, what hobbies do you do to decompress?
Right now, my biggest one is golf. I can't say that a day on the golf course is not stressful, but it's a different stress, and it takes my mind. The thing I love about golf is it's such a mental activity and such a mental sport that you can't have your head stuck in the workday or stuck in the argument with your wife that morning and play golf. So, I could be driving to the range completely pissed off about something that went wrong in the morning and mad at this and mad at that. And then some jackass cut me off in traffic again. Get out of the way. I'm going to be late. I need a warm up. I'm old. All of this is going on. I get to the driving range and I just stop. And I get 45 minutes of warm up time where I'm just focused on what's my body doing. Am I moving the way I want? Am I feeling right? What's happening here? And I get to get my body prepared, and then I go out in the course and I just completely focus on what the course and the day is presenting that day. Completely forgot where the question was going, but yeah, golf.
How long have you been doing golf?
I played a little bit as a child. I believe I was around 11 or 12 when my dad got me my first set of clubs. I played a little bit as a child, but I didn't really start taking golf seriously until I was in my late 20s. I had retired from football. I did triathlon for a little while and had some injuries and overtraining issues, so I had to step away from that. So I picked up golf again, and I fell in love with it and became completely obsessed. And I still am. So that's almost 30 years now?
Now, you said that you use it to kind of feel how your body flows. Have
Yeah.
you been able to, over those 30 years, kind of track how your body is feeling and be able to go, oh, I can't quite swing that way, or, oh, I'm feeling a little stiff that way? Is it been a very good barometer for you to kind of be able to judge your health?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point, Brian. As an athlete in multiple sports, you become very aware of how your body is moving and when it's not moving properly. And I'm going to bring that in now as a physiotherapist. One of the things that I try and teach my clients is don't wait until it hurts. Identify the problem when it's a movement dysfunction and you go, wait a second, that's not moving right. Let's get it before it becomes pain. If we can do that, people get better way quicker. So if we go back to golf, when I'm on the range and I'm swinging and I'm going, that doesn't feel right. I can't load into my right side properly. Something isn't right there. I immediately, as soon as I'm finished that day, I go in and I see one of the amazing team here at New Leaf and get my body put back together, because I do identify very quickly that something's not working properly for me.
That's awesome. And with how long you've been in, do you find that people are active with even a minor sport? Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't have to be high impact. Or have you found that has been maybe a key component of people's lives, that if they just brought in something, they would be able to catch some of those injuries, or when you're noticing the body's not quite acting right early on?
Yeah. If people have, even if it's, I go for a 30-minute walk every day. Movement is very important, not only for our health, but it allows us to get that feedback of, hey, is my body functioning the way it should be, or is there something not right? Sure, if I'm sitting still for 5 weeks in a row, I might feel stiff. But where I really think that when people are moving and they're doing an activity, that's when you can really go, wait a second, something doesn't feel right here. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a very good point. And I'm actually haven't thought of it that way. But I'm going to start using that as part of my treatment now to say, hey, look, not only is it important you to get moving for your own health, but it's also going to let you know if your body's working properly or not. I like that.
I think it should be named the Smitty method.
We will call it the Smitty method, and we'll develop a whole course on it, and we'll teach it all over the world. 80% to me, 20% to you.
That's fine. That's fine. So what are some of your short and long-term goals that you have in the next little bit with life, with your hobbies, with business and stuff? What is it that you kind of are aspiring to?
Okay. Short-term goals, business-wise, is New Leaf. We're in a rapid growth phase again. We have brought in the last 2 weeks, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 new practitioners. We are still looking for more. So the short-term goal is to get the new practitioners solidified in their role with us, to get them to buy into our corporate culture, and then to grow and stabilize caseloads. So short-term, that's what we're looking. Long-term goal, business-wise, is we are looking to take the New Leaf model and concept across Western Canada. We want to be expanding in the BC area, probably going to stay Langley and East. So I would like to get a center somewhere in the Langley, Aldergrove, somewhere in that area, and then Okanagan. And then ideally, I'd love to get some centers back in Alberta as well, and then see where we go from there. So that's the long-term dream, is to spread the New Leaf philosophy get a little wider reach, and hopefully cover a little more Western Canada. Personally, short-term goal is really just all focused on becoming a better dad, being more patient with my son, letting go of some of my own personal dreams and goals so I can help him become the best he can be. Before my son was born, my goal was to get back to playing competitive golf and get to that highest level again. And then this little guy comes along, and well, that all changes now. I still love the game. I still want to be the best I can, but I know the competition isn't in the cards for me at this time. So all of that now is switched into, let's get him to be a confident, well-adjusted, wild child, loving little boy. And that's been very successful so far. So that's the short term, is to continue there. Long term, as far as being a parent goes, is I just want to encourage all of my children, all 6 of them, to live true to who they are and chase their dreams with everything they've got. Those are my long-term goals. Long-term goal personally is I'd still love to try and qualify for a senior PGA Tour event. I'd love to win the Canadian Senior Amateur. So I've still had my competitive dreams as an athlete and as a golfer, but they're going to be on hold for a little while right now.
No, and you found an even better goal, and that's what makes it so easy for you to transition, is that as much as those goals of golf were so key to you beforehand, like prior to 2 years ago, you found something even better to invest in. And I mean, your golf is always going to be there. And with your attitude, it's not going to be something that you're not going to be able to start sharpening in a couple more years again, when, you know, they're at school and you can dedicate a little more time, and hey, you know, and then when they get into it as well, right? Like, and then it could become another bonding experience. And for all you know, you might be setting up a great little pro for the future of golf. So yeah, it might work for you long term to invest in him early.
Yeah, it actually might. There's my retirement fund right there. It's interesting you bring it up that way, because I would say 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I hit a bit of a funk and a bit of a depression. I've always wanted to be a professional athlete. I've wanted to be a world champion. I've wanted to be the best in the world at something. And I got close. And then I got close. And then I got close. I mean, as a competitive country dancer, I danced with a team out of Calgary called Country Chaos. They're the 2017 world champions. I had injured my knee and couldn't go. So all my friends are world champions. Mm-hmm. I don't have a world champion buckle. You know, so I kept getting so close. And I wasn't getting there, and I was getting so frustrated. But then on the professional side of things, I was helping all of these amazing young athletes become pro, to become world champions, to become Olympians. And I had actually said to a colleague at the time, going, you know, I'm in a bit of a funk here. I'm starting to realize that my calling isn't to be a champion or a pro myself. It might be to help others get theirs. And they looked at me and went, that's a pretty high aspiration. That's a pretty awesome fucking dream and goal. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of responsibility and you're achieving it. Way to go. And then I realized, okay, yeah, it looks different than I planned, but this is where I'm supposed to be, and let's go get it.
And exactly. And I think for some people, they can't get that transition, or they can't kind of accept that certain thing, right? And they become those bitter ones you hear about. But the people that can transition and understand, you know what? I'm right here right now, but I can help that person over there get so much higher than, you know, sometimes even you could ever do, like just those people. And there's just as much pride in helping that other person achieve those goals, dreams, records that you're just like, wow. But you also get to be a part of that. And it's that thing as well where some people just can't get that transition. And you were feeling it for a little bit there, but once you got it, you opened up a new, almost part of your soul, and you were able to grow and develop that way. And that's an amazing ability that you were able to do, because very few people can make that transition to being competitive, type A, to now being the coach who has to kind of sit on the sideline now and watch, and is that blood still hungers for it, and it's still, you know, red hot to go compete at that level. But there is that transitionary time when either age or certain things, you got to accept it and then go, okay, how can I help the next generation of this sport get to the next levels to make it that much more entertaining, that much more thrilling?
Yeah, that's exactly it. That fire still burns deep. I mean, I can't watch any type of a game, whether I'm working on the sidelines as a physio, whether I'm coaching, or it's a game on TV and that national anthem goes and I'm getting fidgety. I'm rocking back and forth. I can feel the intensity burning, and it's over, and I just want to go hit somebody. And it's like, no, I can't anymore. So I've got to kind of, okay, bring that back down, get your focus where it needs to be, whether you're a fan or whether I'm working it. I've been able to bring that back in. And that took a long time after I quit playing to be able to just come back into myself and not go looking around to smash somebody.
Now, what drew you to physiotherapy?
Just the treatment, the exceptional treatment I was getting as a young athlete, whether I was injured or just recovery time. I was in physio a lot, and a lot of the time it was just to help my body recover and to help my performance. I just saw I happened to have a physio that was making a huge influence or impact on people's lives in a very short period of time. And that's what drew me there. So.
Mm-hmm. And none of the other medical fields kind of had any grip. It was physio that had your heart.
It did. And about 5 years into my career, I started to, again, I went through a period where I'm like, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I don't feel like I'm being tested. I don't feel like I'm being challenged. So I actually considered going back and doing a medical degree and becoming an orthopedic surgeon. And then I realized I had a tea time at 1 o'clock every day that week. If I go back to school and I'm starting over, I'm not going to be able to do that for at least 15 years. Yeah, never mind. And then sat with it. And now I've come to realize, 15, 20 years later, that physio is not my job. It's not my career. It's what I was meant to do. There's not many people that can say I'm doing exactly what I was put here to do. And that's how I feel every day. That this is why I'm here.
And with that kind of passion to it, it just makes it so much more rewarding. And do you find because of that passion, you don't feel quite the burnout? Like you still need to have your little bit of decompression, but do you find because the passion is so high in it that even the bad days, you go, you know what, that was a lesson to learn. Tomorrow's the new one.
Yep, absolutely. It makes the bad days a lot easier to tolerate. There's not as many of them. After you read the bio there in my intro, it's like, oh, I got to update that. I've actually been 30 years now. I've been a physio, not 25. So that means I'm old more than anything else. But yeah, I've been a physio for 30 years. And in that 30 years, there's probably been a maximum of 100 days that I didn't want to go to work. And most of them had nothing to do with the work. It was going through a rough time in my personal life. It's sunny and 35 degrees and I want to be on the golf course, not in the office. I want to go play with my kids today. It was never, I don't want to go deal with people today. It's always been, I want to do something else because it'll be fun. And its work is 99% of the time a magnificent thing. And I love it.
That's amazing that you were able to find your calling. And even after 30 years, you still feel it as hard as you did early on. What was one of the biggest challenges in becoming a physiotherapist that you had to face?
My shitty academic record in high school was one of the biggest ones. If it wasn't for high school football, I probably would have dropped out. I'm a fairly intelligent guy, but I wasn't challenged. I think in grade 12, I skipped 100 classes. But football kept me there because I couldn't play ball if I wasn't in school. So I graduated with like a 70 something average, which is okay, but it's not going to get you into physio. So the hardest thing for me was as a 22 or 23-year-old, I had to go back to university, do a full year of university science, and get marks that were at least an A, if not an A+, to even be considered for an interview. And I had to take high school physics. I suck at physics. So
many of us did.
Yeah. So that was probably the biggest challenge in getting in. University of Alberta at the time had 66 spots every year for physio students. And I believe there was 2,000 and some applicants the year I got in. So highly competitive. So that was challenging. Everything else, once I was accepted, everything else seemed to come along pretty easily. As a student, finances is always like, ugh. But you know what? We found a way to make it work. The work itself is intense. You're very, very busy. It's hard. But when you're doing what you love, it's not that hard. So the biggest thing was getting in to start with.
Mm-hmm. And did you find as you were doing some of your preschooling, was that ever a deterrent for you, or you were so passionate that that's just that's par for the course? You got to get through this to get to the dream.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Is I didn't do the job I needed to in high school, so now I got to do it. One way or another, you got to get it done. And I just put it off a few years. So there was never any frustration. There was never any thoughts of quitting. It's actually my ex-father-in-law gave me the best piece of advice I've ever had around school. And that was put 3 hours in every day, no matter what. Now, he said, that's not counting big papers, research projects, reports. That's 3 hours of review and study every single day. Track it, punch in and punch out. And when you're done, put it away. Quit thinking about it. So that's what I did. I didn't cram for exams. I did all my work, 3 hours every single day. And the night before an exam, I'd be going out to movies and all my friends are freaking out, pulling all-nighters. So that helped a lot. But I never felt discouraged at all. It was, hey, this is just what I got to do. Let's go get it done.
That's perfect. What was your first real challenge as a new physiotherapist?
Owning a business. I'm a really good physio. I can fill a clinic. I don't know how to run a business. And when I graduated in 1990, I bought a practice. We did really, really well with it for the first little bit. And then it just got to be too much for me. And that was the hardest thing, was just running a business. It was just out of my wheelhouse. So when the opportunity came up to buy New Leaf a few years ago, of course, those old tapes in the back of my head are going, you can't do this. Look what happened last time. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. My wife happens to be an exceptional business person. And right before we started the negotiations to buy New Leaf, she had just finished her MBA. And she is just an absolutely brilliant woman. And she's the one who really runs the show here. My face is out there a lot and my voice is out there a lot, but Devira, she's the owner of New Leaf. I'm just her senior physio.
What kind of hours does the average physiotherapist put in? Starting out, like what kind of grind should somebody expecting to get in put in? And then once you're established, does it change much? Not obviously owning a business with it, but how is it for people getting into the industry?
The demand for physio right now is very, very high. I don't think there's enough people graduating every year in North America to cover the need for physiotherapists in North America. Lost the question.
Let me scroll down. What kind of hours does the average?
Hours, yeah. So I've only ever worked in private practice. So I can't speak on the people working in public health, in hospitals or anything like that. Don't know. When I started out, I was working clinically 60 hours a week in clinic. And then for me, the best way to grow a business and build a business in physio for me was community involvement, giving back, being out there with the teams. So I would be working every weekend. So early on, I was putting in anywhere from 80 to 110 hours a week in physio-related activity, whether in clinic or out with teams. I probably did that for the first pretty close to 20 years of my career. And then I thought it was the greatest thing in the world when I was only working 40 hours a week. And then there came a period of time between 2016 and 2022, where I was working 24 hours a week, loving life, and my paycheck didn't notice a drop. It didn't go down, but it was great. In my mind, I was semi-retired. And then I bought a business, which I love. I love New Leaf, and I'm so happy I did, but I'm not semi-retired anymore. And again, I'm going to go back to now Devira's working 80 to 100 hours a week. I still only work about 30 or 40. She's the one that does all the work. But yeah, it's early on. If you can come out of school with the attitude to, I'm going to sound like the old guy here, pay your dues, If you can come out with that attitude and you pay your dues early, not just to put in the hours, but to learn from those hours, right? It's not about spinning your wheels. It's not about, oh, I'm just going to put in my 100 hours a week. It's what are you learning in the hours you're putting in? That's what I mean by pay your dues. And I'm noticing a lot of young healthcare professionals don't have that understanding that I need to put this in, not for the sake of doing an exercise and just put my time in, but there's so much I can learn from the time I put in. And that's it. It's the one thing I wish I could get across to some of our younger practitioners is put the time in. It will pay off, and learn from the time you're putting in.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite medical tool that you use daily, and what's one that you've ever gotten to get your hands on?
Ooh, well, honestly, my favorite treatment tool is my hands and my problem-solving ability. As a manual therapist, this is what matters the most. That said, modalities and technology and modalities has come a long way. The best on the market that I've seen so far is Shockwave. It is very, very versatile, and in actually some conditions, it can be a standalone treatment. The one I haven't been able to get my hands on and what I'd love to get is some hyperbaric chambers. I would love to be able to have that for not just my athletic clientele, but that oxygenation works great for a lot of things. And that's just a price factor that I don't think we could ever get the return of investment to spend the money on one, but I would love to.
One day, maybe with enough clinics all over the place, you'll have that one that gets to trial it out and see.
I'd love it. That'd be fun.
Can you talk about some of the different treatment options and benefits that you offer? And what have you noticed in the general population and in athletes that you can help them with?
Now, are you speaking me, myself, or the clinic in general?
A little bit of both. It's like some of what you offer as an individual, and then what the general population and athletes can get treatment from the clinic. Okay.
So for me, what I offer is manual therapy. So I do a lot of hands-on work. So a lot of soft tissue work. I've been licensed in peripheral joint and spinal manipulation for most of my career. What I'm looking to do every time I'm working on a client is I'm looking to restore normal movement patterns. Now, the most important part of that is what I teach them, and that's the exercise component. I'm not big on a lot of the more complex functional exercise stuff that's out there. I've got great members of my team who are, but where my skill set lies is in the basics: core muscle reactivation and preparing the body for more intense workouts. So that basic rehab workout stuff where you're not just treating that injury, but you're preparing that person's whole body for more advanced movement. So that's what I personally offer, as well as I'm fucking hilarious. So you're in for a comedy show every time you come see me. And if you laugh, I don't dig quite as hard into the sore spots. I feel good, you're going to feel good. I think that's fair trade-off. It's, laughter is the best medicine. And I spend more of the time of my day laughing at myself than anything else. And I love it. You've been there. I'll make fun of myself more than I make fun of anybody else. And that's just my sense of humor. And that's the way it should be. Now, New Leaf. New Leaf is an exceptional facility. I feel very, very blessed to lead the team that we've got. I don't know. I think we have 31 or 32 practitioners now. We have everything from registered massage therapy along the massage lines. We also have massage students. We are an educational facility, or a teaching clinic we're not an educational facility. We are a teaching clinic. That's the better way to put it. So we've got massage students that are looking to get experience and fill their clinical hours. And then we have that in between the student and the RMT, the body workers, who have finished their schooling but haven't passed their exams yet. So they're not registered, but they're still gaining experience. We got multiple levels there and different price points. We've got manual osteopathy. We cover some of the more energy and stuff with Reiki, life coaching. acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine, clinical counseling, hypnotherapy. And then we've got your chiro, your physio, active rehab with kinesiology or athletic therapy. I'm probably missing somebody and I'm going to hear about it. But honestly, this facility is so amazing. Nutrition, holistic nutritionists. We have 2 of them. I can't remember the rest of it now. But what we're offering is more than just a multidisciplinary clinic. We're really establishing what we want to have as a true interdisciplinary clinic. And to us, that means we're communicating. We're working together to get people better. I'm using my strength and then referring on to one of my other practitioners to use their strengths to help people get better more quickly, more effectively, and to live a fuller life. What makes that different from multidisciplinary clinic, it's not just one-stop shopping. We're also communicating. We have a new role starting at New Leaf sometime in the next couple of weeks, our patient care coordinator. And this person will be speaking with all of our new patients and all of our existing ICBC and WorkSafe patients to find out what needs are not being met and how we can bring the strength of our team to meet those needs for them. So they'll be setting up 15 to 30 minute free consultations where they sit down and do an initial intake and saying, hey, what are you looking for? Not only are they looking what services, but we're also training this person to understand the most important thing that leads to success in you seeing any type of a therapist is the connection with that person. It was really interesting. I never thought of it that way. And then I was getting some counseling for myself a few years ago. And the company, I'm going to throw a plug in here for Manifest Wellness out of Vancouver. They are a company that is men's counseling, which I think is brilliant. I've tried counseling many times, never had success with it. And very first appointment, I spoke to the manager, and it was him getting to know me so he could put me with the right person. And he said, Ed, you know what? One of the things I was looking for help with was PTSD. He said, everybody says this is the best modality for PTSD. You know what the research shows us? The connection between the patient and the therapist is the best indicator for positive outcomes. So now I want to apply that to everything here too, right? So if I can get someone in here, there's no point getting someone who's more on the shy, reserved, quiet end with me. Mm-hmm. We're not going to connect well, but we've got a lot of people that connect very well. I work really hard to connect with as many people as I can, but naturally, that's not the person that's going to do well with me, mm-hmm. right? However, I've got a whole whack of people they're going to do very, very well with. And that's one of the roles of our patient care coordinator is to start getting people plugged into the right people. And I'm really excited to see how this turns out. The only thing that we haven't got at New Leaf right now is a family physician or a sport medicine doc. And we are actively looking. So particularly for a sport medicine physician, just to round out our team. The two men, when we bought New Leaf 2 years ago, my wife Devira sat down with all of our practitioners and did 1 hour one-on-one interviews with them. And their passions came into 2 categories, women's health and sports. So those are the 2 main focuses for us. And we just keep adding people through the team to build that up and to become even better in those areas. So
that's awesome. And I can't wait to keep seeing the business as it grows and develops. And you'll have to come back on and just keep everyone up to date on finding all these different people and new treatments that can be offered. Can you give everyone your information so they can find you and the business, please?
Oh, high pressure question. Okay, so we are New Leaf Total Wellness Center. We're in Abbotsford, British Columbia. We are at 2309 McCallum Road. Our website is newleafwellnesscenter.com. And our phone number, this is the one I always get wrong, but I think it's 604-850-2511. If not, find it on the website. Or even a cooler thing on our website is we've now got chat bots. So you can click on it and ask a question, and they can tell you the right answers.
Perfect. Evolving every step of the way. Well,
yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, Ed, for being on the show, and can't wait to have you back on in the future.
My pleasure, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Till next time, everyone. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Thanks for your time. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help grow the show. And remember, get back up.